The Arizona Cardinals going to halftime, unbelievably, with a lead, thanks to Matt Prater banging it home from 62 yards. That's right. We're breaking it all down. The good. There's lots of bad, but lots of good to break down between the Cardinals and Vikings. Right now, it's the Locked On Cardinals halftime show.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on? It's Brack, Alex Clancy hanging out with you at halftime between the Arizona Cardinals and Minnesota Vikings. Cardinals up 24-23. Rondale Moore gets out of bounds with 1 second left before the half, and Matt Prater bangs it home from 62 yards. And the Cardinals scratch and claw their way in the most spectacular fashion to take the lead at halftime, Alex. He's speechless. Man is speechless.
I mean, so you look at this, yes. So we'll break this all down here, but yes, sure. Rondale, let's just start with him. Okay, let's work backwards. Let's start with positivity first. Rondale Moore looks like an NFL player.
He is an NFL player.
Yeah. Looks like overnight. I mean, he's Tyreek Hill light on the field like today. I mean, him dipping and dodging on that last play, nobody touched him. And he had several defenders around him. And then obviously the blown coverage on Patrick Peterson for his first touchdown catch. I mean,
you got video game things going on to make that pass from Kyler Murray, spinning out of trouble, and then with ease launches it down the field. Yeah, there's P3. He's toast for the second time today after the DeAndre Hopkins touchdown earlier to open up the scoring for the Cardinals. But this was not an easy start for the Arizona Cardinals. They came out of the gates. The defense gets torched by Osborne on the second play of the game after Dalvin Cook kind of set the tone that they were not going to be the Titans the previous week. And they got it going with one game and made it tough for the Arizona Cardinals early on. And I mean, we were sitting here and the Vikings were up 20-7, and they had 1/3 down. They saw 1/3 down in that before that moment in the game. And the Arizona Cardinals resilient in the first half, led by their franchise quarterback Kyler Murray. Alex.
Yeah, I mean, he's played perfect football for 6 quarters now. You know, we did have the 1 interceptions to come out in the second half against Tennessee last week. Hopefully they can improve upon their 3 and out coming into the third quarter today. But, Bo, I mean, he looks like an MVP. You know? Like, he's playing football that we thought we'd see at some point this year when he takes the next step. No preseason, no problem. First 6 quarters of this season, the dude's been an MVP caliber player. You know, he has eight total touchdowns already.
Yeah, he has 2 in the air today. One to DeAndre Hopkins, the other Rondale Moore, and then the rushing touchdown after the weird play where Moore fumbled the ball, looked like it was going the other way. Vigil couldn't get his feet in bounds, and then the next play after the penalty from AJ Green that they ended up accepting, Kyler Murray strolls in, as you mentioned on Twitter. Very good, beautiful play design.
Masterful.
I had to double, triple take that you'd actually tweeted out praise for Cliff Kingsbury because it was a beautiful call for him to run up the middle and get that big touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still shocked about Rondale Moore. You know, Christian Kirk had the great 3rd and long catch between 3 players. It was kind of a la the Josh Rosen preseason pass for a touchdown between 3 players. They were like, oh, Josh Rosen and Christian Kirk are really going to be something here. Kind of looked like that. And then Rondale Moore just looks like he belongs out there. There was the quick, touch pass from Kyler to him that ended up being the fumble. But, I mean, you see him so quickly learning the speed of this game. And it's a beautiful thing to watch because it adds a completely different element to this offense. Speed, not from the quarterback position.
Yeah, this is officially a Rondale Moore stan show. This podcast is. We're standing over Rondale Moore to go away with DeAndre Hopkins. The biggest problem though is Kyler Murray plays a perfect half. Rondale Moore shows up in his second career game. Kyler 15 for 17, 229, the 2 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground. His counterpart Kirk Cousins equally as impressive.
Flawless almost.
They're not having any success getting to him. I mean, this patchwork offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings, the Arizona Cardinals have to do something to create some pressure. Vance Joseph has to go to the mad scientist has to get in the lab at halftime and conjure something up.
Yeah. So if you looked at just the box score, the Vikings have more total yards, more sacks, less penalties, and more time of possession. Usually that means at least, a 10-point, a 10-point lead, something like that, going into halftime. But yeah, the defense, let's shift back to the oh no part of this game, which was the first 5 or 6 minutes, like we saw in Tennessee. Penalties, not everybody on the same page, and the defense not getting behind the line of scrimmage, not getting home to Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's having tea parties behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And Dalvin Cook's, doing whatever he wants.
And how about Kirk Cousins on that 29-yard run? I mean, that was just an absolute brutal hit to the defense. Arizona Cardinals need to figure out some way to slow things down. I thought they did a decent job at the end of the half. I thought, okay, oh no, here we go again, because there's a couple games last year, especially at home, where the opposing team hit some field goals at the end of the half. It was Miami, I think it was Buffalo that hit some big, like 50-yard long field goals that lingered and were, changing the way the game was going to go. And I was like, okay, that was another one. I mean, after the Vikings kicker missed the PAT, he hits from 52. But then one of your big acquisitions in the offseason, Matt Prater, comes out and shows off his special skill, his superpower, and knocks it in from 62. And the Arizona Cardinals, like nobody expected, they went into the halftime with the lead.
Yeah. So I will trademark the name because I've used it. Now people are starting to use it. You're drinking the Praterade. Yeah. Okay. Very simple, very overlooked. Even Bo couldn't come up with that. Praterade. Praterade. I mean, it's just the Cardinals are strong where they need to be in certain spots to get taken for granted a lot. Andy Lee is a top 5 punter in the league. Matt Prater is somebody you can trust. And the fact that he's able to give the Cardinals the lead going into halftime, there are very few kickers that can make that kick in the NFL nowadays.
Yeah.
The Cardinals have one of them.
Right. Yeah, it looks like Steve's adding a couple more P's to Patrick Peterson. A lot of iteration there. It's I think that's P6 if I'm counting correctly. Yeah, P6. He gave up. It was P12 as far as points surrendered by the former Cardinal cornerback. One to DeAndre Hopkins, and the other. I mean, what was the total yardage that he was behind the receiver on both those plays? Just not looking good. Looked like Bashaud Breeland was not in good standing as far as leaving the field. He looked like he might have been hurt. So it'd be interesting to see what the Vikings defense looks like coming out of the gates. Cardinals will get the ball and start the second half.
Yeah, and this is something where the Cardinals need to not do what they did last game and either turn the ball over, have a quick 3 and out. You need to put your foot on the throat. Like I said against Tennessee, they need to come out and have a sustained drive and go score a touchdown. Get some points on the board because the momentum is now back to square one.
Yeah.
And the fact the Cardinals were 20 miles behind in a marathon midway through the first quarter, and now back to square one. Let's just go get it.
I thought that the offense did a really good job. We didn't see a lot of this last year when the defense was struggling to get off the field, or they were on the field and off the field quickly because the Vikings were so efficient getting down the field that the offense took over. And they had that drive where they moved the ball down the field. There's a couple fluky plays, but it was ended and capped by the Kyler Murray touchdown. It was important that they not only capitalize on that. I mean, they got points. You'd take any points in that situation where the game was, but it was key to keep that defense off the field and get a little breather at that point. That was something that I don't feel like we've seen from this Cardinals team under Cliff Kingsbury, that sustained drive to maybe rest up your defense in that.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to need to rest up because you know that Minnesota is going to methodically and slowly move the ball down the field with Dalvin Cook as its catalyst. And if the Cardinals – so let me ask you this. The pass rush ain't working. Now, we don't know if it's just block scheme from the offensive line that they've put in, or they're just not getting home for another reason. What needs to happen for the Cardinals to keep Dalvin Cook in front of them and hopefully not slip like they slipped on all 3 touchdown passes? There was some sort of slippage. Budda Baker he was diving. but the other two. So what do the Cardinals need to do defensively?
That's the $1 million question, right? I mean, I think that it's different, obviously, because Dalvin Cook has the speed to get to the outside that Derrick Henry didn't possess. The Titans continue to struggle as far as everything, as far as football is concerned. It's hard for them right now, but the Vikings are firing on all cylinders. How can you slow it down? I think that maybe Vance Joseph, as far as maybe you can only hope to contain Dalvin Cook, but at the same time, you got to get exotic with your blitzes. Maybe bring pressure for some unique spots and get to Kirk Cousins, make him get off the spot.
Yeah. I mean, you need to just put pressure on Kirk Cousins as much as you can, because he is seriously, he's an NFL quarterback. It's like if you give an NBA player a wide open three, if your name's not Ben Simmons, they're going to make it. It's target practice. And they've got two of the better receivers in the league, both of whom have a touchdown in the first half. And it's just, and let's say one more positive thing here. Open field tackling has been excellent. Unfortunately, it's been the last line of defense. Jalen Thompson had two probably touchdown saving tackles on Dalvin Cook. Isaiah Simmons had a big hit on Dalvin Cook. So things, even though the defense didn't play as well in the first half, obviously, as they did last week, there are still some signs that this defense is going to be very good still. They showed little things. Budda Baker had a big tackle early on. Like, what did you equate them to? Oh, you equate them to a heavyweight boxer, right? On Friday?
Yeah.
Where they're going to keep the Cardinals in most games. They just really have to improve in the second half, obviously.
They do. And I mean, with that analogy, I mean, every heavyweight boxer, even if they're dominant, they have a game plan. It goes out the window when you're punched in the mouth. And the Osborne touchdown was that. And then Dalvin Cook really getting it going on the ground, and Kirk Cousins dialing it up and hitting all three of his receivers that we knew about and that we talked about, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Osborne. They all found the end zone. So Arizona Cardinals, their secondary has to step up. Vance Joseph has to find a way to really slow things down on the defensive side. But they can set the tone out the gates and extend this lead with the first drive of the second half. And we've been calling for it. Back-to-back weeks, we need this offense to continue to be explosive. As they pointed out there, who was it that pointed out that they were getting? Yeah, here it is, Chris, 10 points in the last 2 minutes. You finally forced those third downs, and you had the advantage, Cardinals, because the offense, the Vikings can't stop it right now, and they need to continue to do that. All right. Anything else? Any parting words before we head out of here to the second half? Finish the game with more points than the Vikings. Wow. You can go to any halftime show, but you choose to come to this finish game with more points where you get that analysis. Great stuff. We appreciate everybody chiming in. It's the Locked On Cardinals halftime show. We're doing it every game this week, all 17 games and potentially the postseason. Guys, gals, thank you for tuning in. Let's have another great half of football. Maybe less drama. Maybe the Arizona Cardinals can ride this momentum and then maybe keep their foot on the gas and win running away. We'll see. It's Bo and it's Alex following along on Twitter for the rest of the game at Locked On AZ Cards, at Clancy's Corner, and at BOBRACK. We'll talk to you guys in the post-game podcast. You can find it tonight. It's Locked On Cardinals.